It doesn't take very long into a ride before I inevitably tell whoever I'm riding with, or just say it out loud to myself, I love riding motorcycles. It doesn't matter if it's bashing around on a gnarly trail, coasting through some amazing scenery, or just winding it out on a twisty back road. I love riding motorcycles. But if riding motorcycles is so good, why is the motorcycle market stagnating? Well, I have a theory, and it starts with Harley-Davidson. These bikes are gorgeous. To some, Harley conjures up iconic images from rugged, reliable World War II utility bikes, eveRider, Mert Lawwill, and Steve McQueen. And even Harley's pretty decent racing heritage is flat trackers and dual sports. But others have no idea who those people are. To them, Harley-Davidson is lumped in with Preparation H, Quaker Oats, and Metamucil. So what happened? Why is Harley so awesome to me and others in a little older generation and so lame to the younger kids? Well, I think they realized that they were cool back in the day, and say what you will about their quality, suddenly the only people who could afford them outright were six-figure folks. Now, there are still some true grit Harley riders out there, but for the most part, the company's culture changed Harley from being the two-wheeled freedom machine to the two-wheeled golden calf. But I don't blame Harley-Davidson for capitalizing on how cool they are and then marketing to folks with the largest disposable incomes. That's just shrewd business. And it worked. They sold bikes and made money. But by pricing their bikes very high and playing to the silver demographic, they completely ignored the younger generations, and now they're struggling to get their mojo back with the younger riders. So what succeeded Harley-Davidson as the poor man's freedom machine? Well, to me, it was the big dirt bike boom of the 80s and 90s.
Dirt bikes seemed to be everywhere. I mean, Jeremy McGrath was like a household name. People who had never even touched a dirt bike were wearing Fox and Fly and Troy Lee and stuff. So, you know, dirt bikes were relatively cheap back then. They were totally customizable, and they were ugly, and they were beautiful all at the same time. Oh! They were like Harley-Davidson before Harley-Davidson went silver.
Then the big ADV machines started getting popular. BMW, KTM, Triumph, capable street bikes that could also handle some off-road, but these bikes, like Harley, were also massively expensive.
But there was this balance in the force because dual sports and enduros were always a popular poor man's alternative. And yeah, less capable on the road, but so much more capable in the dirt and way less expensive. KLRs and XRs and DRs, the 90s and the early 2000s were just a heyday for motorcycle innovation for both budget riders and like the high dollar adventurers. Nice.
But now there's a problem because ADV, dual sport, and even dirt bikes seem to be following Harley's lead by targeting a wealthier demographic. Manufacturers have shifted from cheap freedom machines to top-tier bikes while leaving the inexpensive everyman enduros in the dust.
So for an example, think about Honda's new CRF 450L. It's totally packed with new tech, but by most accounts it's a very capable dual sport, but it's also 10 grand, and it's so much more expensive than, you know, the old magnificent XRs of the early 2000s. Take any four-stroke KTM or Husqvarna above a 250, whether it's plated or not, and they're all at least 10 grand. Ooh.
Now don't get me wrong, these are premium bikes with new tech that in most cases make them worth the money. But with the new tech and focus on the wealthier segment of the market, just like Harley-Davidson, they may be alienating new riders and core riders who don't need the fanciest, flashiest, most ready-to-race bike out there.
Piku!
Oh, he's up, are you okay?
Remember a few years ago when Harley-Davidson was browning their trousers because younger generations stopped buying cruisers? Now all motorcycle manufacturers are freaking out because younger generations, millennials and Generation Z, have almost no interest in not just Harley, but motorcycles in general.
So I was born in 1982, so I'm kind of in between, but I'm technically a millennial. So here's kind of my short millennial moto history. In the very beginning, I really wanted a Harley, but they were way too expensive. So I bought a Suzuki Cruiser, and I rode it for a while, and I almost got killed, and so I sold it. But I still loved motorcycles, and so I watched a long way around with my friend, and I just desperately wanted a BMW R1200 GS, but again, super expensive. So that's when I lowered my expectations, found an old KLR 650. It was cheap and ugly, and it was absolutely gushing with moto freedom. And so that was my gateway drug. And ever since I threw a leg over that purple and teal KLR, I was just hooked.
Please pardon the very crude analogy I'm about to dish out, but drug dealers don't peddle hard crack cocaine to kids. They get them hooked with a soft, cheap, maybe even free gateway drug. And similarly, motorcycle manufacturers can't expect to sell $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 hardcore fire-breathing motorcycles to young, new generations of riders. A passion for motorcycling isn't inborn. You have to ride one to get it.
So in the 90s and early 2000s, Suzuki and Kawasaki and Honda and Yamaha, they were all building enduro bikes that were totally just invincible, and they built tons of them, and they built them for pretty cheap. And so most of us from my age group, we got hooked on these cheap, invincible Japanese, like, gateway bikes from the 90s. And, you know, many of us now spend way too much money on, like, the hard stuff.
But now, aside from the outdated DR, DRZ, and XR650L, the cheap mid-powered gateway enduros are pretty much gone. Even Kawasaki's iconic KLR is finished. And without a gateway bike, is it any surprise that kids have no interest?
You know, as motorcycle riders in general, we want the market to thrive. We want motorcycle companies to do really well and advance the tech and make new things and create new bikes, but that's a big old turd right there. Even some of the most passionate riders can't justify $10,000 for a dirt bike or an enduro. So, you know, building top-of-the-line bikes with new tech and big price taxes, it's okay. But if dirt bike and dual sport manufacturers want to revive the motorcycle and save their businesses into future generations, unlike Harley, they need to provide some kind of a decent budget option.
Now, of course, this is all just my theory, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And for those of you who are new, welcome to the eveRide channel. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you enjoyed this video enough to check out a few of my other vids and maybe even subscribe. And as always, I can't thank them enough. A huge brap of gratitude to the patrons and producers who make videos like this possible. Much love, ladies and gentle tubers. eveRide out.